Hi, folks. I want to welcome you guys to the 2023-24 school year. My name is Chad Weaver, and I'm going to be facilitating the online driver ed course. I wanted to take a few minutes here just to kind of introduce everyone to the logistics of the course and potentially answer some questions that you may have. I'm sure I'll say this again, but if you do have any questions that ever come up here regarding the driver ed course, please feel free to shoot me an email. Email is the easiest way that you can access me. I'm kind of all over the place throughout the day. A phone call sometimes is difficult to get a hold of me. So, that being said, I am teaching both Redland and Cedar Cliff Driver Ed. However, I'm housed at Redland. So, Cedar Cliff students won't really see me. When they see Mr. Weaver, I'm sure they're thinking long ponytail, but wrong person. So, um, again, I'm just at Redland. If people need to reach out to me, again, the easiest way is email, or students can email me through or message me through Schoology. So let's talk a little bit about the course. The course is done entirely online. Do not meet face to face ever. There's no time in our schedule where we'll be meeting in a room or anything of that nature. If students need any assistance from me, it's all done virtually or through the computer. I do have some students that have gotten started here a little bit. I'll be sending out some more information to them in just a little bit here this morning. But basically, they are going to log into Schoology. And once they get to Schoology, they're going to find their course. The Redland course has this little logo. Cedar Cliff students have this logo right here. All right, so that is the course. That's a little picture they can look for when they get into Schoology. This is a semester-based course. So we have a first marking period, a second marking period. We throw it all together, and that's our semester grade. And again, it's done entirely through the Schoology platform. All right, and that's something that, again, students usually aren't quite used to. Maybe in some of their classes they're using Schoology a little bit. This course is done entirely on Schoology. So once students find the correct course, it's pretty obvious what they're going to do. It says click here to get started. That's where they'll click. My screen looks slightly different than a student's screen. The only link that students will have access to is this first one. These other ones may not even exist, or if they do, they're kind of grayed out until they complete the things ahead of them. This course is done sequentially. You start at the top and you just keep working your way down, and you have to meet certain things and do certain things along the way. So once students click here, this is just a video of me explaining the course. So they would watch that video. Hopefully it helps them understand what they're going to do, and they move on from there. When that's done, they can either hit this next button or they can go back out, and then they get started on this introductory work folder. Again, they have to start at the top. Once they would complete this folder, they would move on to the second folder. Then they would move on to the final folder here. There's a couple items in here I want to kind of alert you of. First one is this is an assignment. This little icon that's here indicates that it's an assignment where they have to create something and then submit it. It also says that they must make a submission before they can move on. So that little check mark, once they do that, it'll become darkened. That indicates that they've made a submission. The first one is them just introducing themselves. Pretty self-explanatory, a way for me to kind of get to know them since I don't see them face to face. Then we talk a little bit about the course and some of the basic things they need to do in an online-only format for taking a course. And again, it's new for most students. The one item I really want to make you guys alert to is this pacing guide. So I'm going to click on here. This course is at a self-pace, so students can start today and they could finish a few days from now, all right? Or they can make it take the whole marking period, however they want to do it. What I highly recommend is that students at least follow this pacing guide. In this pacing guide, it pretty much gives students about 10 days to work on each module. All right, and if they do that, the end of the marking period, they should be done in plenty of time. The end of the first marking period is going to be October 27th. So they need to have all of this work in by that time. Later on in the marking period, I'll talk a little bit more about what happens if they don't have the work in, but not going to worry about that for right now. So the introductory work folder is the first one that's there. If they're following this pacing, it should be done by September 6th. All right, so again, that gives them a little bit of time to work on it, and there's really not that much that entails this introductory work folder. Once we get to module 1, we talk about becoming a driver, and then we keep moving on. I'll break each of these down a little bit more in detail and shoot you guys a video message, typically once a week, maybe once every other week, somewhere in that ballpark, just so you guys know some of the key points from each of these modules. So this is a pacing guide I highly recommend students follow. Again, if they want to be a little bit proactive and go a little bit ahead of that schedule, that is fine. All right. As soon as they finish all the work up through module 4, they are finished for the marking period. There is work to be completed in the second marking period. You'll see there's 5 more modules that students will have to work. I'll eventually, where it says TBD, to be determined, I'll eventually be filling in dates once we get closer to that second marking period. Students can't work on this until the second marking period. All right, so it's not going to show up for them. They'll just be finished. So I'm going to go back out to the course here, show you a few other items. This is a resource folder. This is actually for you just as much as it is for students. There's some really great things in here. If you're going for your learner's permit, or if your son or daughter is going for their learner's permit, you can print out applications. The driver manuals here, they used to print it out for us and we used to hand them out. It's about a 130-page document. Now it's all virtual or online. You can print it if you want. It's a lot of paper though, so I don't recommend it. There's some other things here, again, all for students getting ready to get their license. And some of you are already probably past this point. Once we get past the resources, we actually start talking about driving. So I'm just going to go into the first module that's here, show you a few things. At the beginning of each, there's an introduction. It kind of talks about what they should be focusing on. I'll talk more about that again later on when I send you guys more videos. But then we have another assignment that's here. We have some information they're going to look at, and this is what's called an Ed puzzle. An Ed puzzle is a video. It stops, students answer questions, the video resumes. One of the keys is here, a lot of students don't watch it the whole way through. And if they don't, it won't grade it, and it eventually will turn into a 0 in the grade book. We don't want that. So just make sure they need to watch it the entirety. And then at the end of each one is an assessment. With the assessment, there is a minimum score that students need to reach. So this first one is out of 15 questions, not too much. And it says they must score at least a 12 to be able to move on to the next module. If they don't get to that magic number, they can redo it. And they can redo it up to 20 times. And if it takes someone 20 times to get 12 right, I'm a little nervous about the whole driving situation. So, if you have a perfectionist at home that needs to get a 100%, they can redo it. It will record the highest score that they earn. So that's at the end of each of these modules. There is a assessment that students need to complete. It's a quiz, test, whatever you want to call it. All right. If students are having issues with these things, I highly recommend they come up here and they shoot me a message, and I can get back to them as quickly as possible. All right. It's pretty much that the whole way through. I will warn you in advance that when we get to module 4, there's a couple assignments where the students are actually going to need to use a vehicle. They're not going to drive it, but they need to get into it and operate some basic controls, features, take some pictures of things of that nature. All right, so that's moving ahead. There's quite a few things to do before that, but that is something that they're going to be doing. If you're going to be away on vacation and you know that there's not a vehicle available, you may want to have your son or daughter kind of work ahead a little bit so that they can make arrangements. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is the grade book. So on the left side of the screen over here, mine says grade book. I believe from the student and parent perspective, it just says grades. Everything is graded within Schoology. And then I have to take the grades from Schoology and basically sync them over to PowerSchool. It doesn't automatically do that. I have to manually do that. And I don't do it every single day. I typically do it every other day, somewhere in that ballpark. So if you're checking grades on PowerSchool, there could actually be grades over here in Schoology that have been recorded but haven't been synced over. So the best way of checking if things have been submitted, if things have been graded, is in the Schoology gradebook. You click on grades over here and you can see all that information pretty easily. All right. Again, if you have any questions, I'm sure I missed something along the way here, but if you have any questions, please let me know. One of the things I always like to stress about this course is there's some perks at the end of this. First off, hopefully students are going to become safer drivers. Hopefully they learn some of that information. But secondly, and kind of financially, students can potentially earn a reduction in their insurance premium when they actually get their license, not their permit, but their license. So a lot of insurance companies will accept the theory portion of driver education, which is what we provide. If you want to go and do the behind the wheel driving, we no longer offer that. It's been quite a while since the district offered that. There are some private companies, Shield Driving School, Shepherd's Driver Consulting. Those are the two biggies in this area. They will offer behind the wheel training, and they also can test students to get their license, which is kind of nice. You don't have to go to the DMV or set up any of that stuff. They can do it all within their little program they have. Again, we don't do the driving portion, we just do the theory, and then we go on from there. At the end of the course, if students pass the course and complete everything, we do email a certificate of completion. That certificate can be forwarded on to your insurance company, and I know a lot of people can save some percentage off of the insurance premium, which a new driver is not very cheap, unfortunately. I'm going to stop there. I've already spoken way too long. I'll be back probably next week talking a little bit about Module 1. If you could help me out a little bit and ask your son or daughter if they've gotten started, or even check yourself, would be a great idea. You can create a Schoology account if you wanted to do that. Easiest thing to do would be to go to the district website. Once you're at the district website, if it'll load here, you would go to the parent tab. And then once you go down to the parent tab, right here is that information. So you can set up a Schoology course if you don't have, or a page if you don't have one at this time, or you can log in with your son or daughter's account and see what they're doing from there as well. All right. If you have questions, like I said, please shoot me an email. If your son or daughter has questions, they can message me within Schoology. If anything else comes up, I'll let you know. I hope everyone has a great start to the school year. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.